It is actually confusing. I don't really understand it at all. What's up guys, and we're back for another video, and today we will be doing a video reaction on the language programs, policies, issues, and situations locally and internationally. And first, I will start on the local setting. So the first one is a documentary video from the local setting. So I have here an investigative documentaries, Jejemon and the Filipino language. So let's start.
Subukan na babasa itong sinulat yung Jejemon word sa mga tao na nandito. Subukan natin kung maintindihan nila.
So in this video, the documentaries will be presenting Jejemon language with the Filipino language to measure if Filipinos would really understand the said language or the said text.
Hindi ko maintindihan yan.
May nakasumat eh.
Di mat yan.
May mga sinikap muna itong basahin.
Akjoy, Filipino, ZS.
And personally, if that person would be me, I won't really understand what is seen on that text.
1 times SIPF, XS4, SX4, LIP4, 4TSX4, 6DW4.
Pero kayo maintindihan, ma'am?
Ha?
Pero kayo maintindihan. Alam niyo ba yung Jejemon, ma'am?
Ha?
Jejemon.
This video may sound a math language, however, it encompasses Filipino languages, more specifically the Jejemon language.
Ang iba, matagal bago naintindihan ang pangungusap.
Ako'y Pilipino sa isip at sa salita at sa gawa.
Ano niyo, sir? Paano niyo naintindihan, sir?
Wala lang.
Jejemon din kayo, sir?
Hindi. Nakita ko lang yung common terms.
Pero mahirap ba siya basahin sa umpisa?
Medyo sa umpisa mahirap. Pero hindi naman ganun kasi Tagalog naman.
Samantala, sisiw lang ito para sa mga kabataan.
Ako'y Pilipinas sa isip, sa salita at sa gawa.
Nabasa niyo? Paano mo naintindihan?
Kasi common naman na sa mga age natin yan ngayon mga Jejemon words.
Ako'y Pilipino sa isip, sa salita at sa gawa.
Naintindihan mo? Jejemon ka?
Medyo.
On that said, it would be easier to read for the younger generations, just like the millennial or the Gen Z.
Jejemon din siya, proud to be.
Sinubukan namin kung alam ng mga bata ang tamang pagbaybay sa mga katagang kaya nilang gawing Jejemon.
Yung napatalsik, meron siyang TH kasi parang masarap pakinggan kapag may H napatalsik. Parang may nagkakaroon ng silent H. Ayun naman, sa letter L naman. Kasi kapag yung small L lang ang ginamit, parang walang buhay tignan. Walang arte yung pagkakasulat. Kaya nilalakihan ko lagi yung letter L. Kahit sa S yun ang ginagawa ko. Yung letter T minsan, malaki ka sa
So, as what I have noticed on the Jejemon languages of the younger generation, there is the misuse of the capitalization and the spellings of other words, especially the proper nouns, which shouldn't be used really.
malaki, parang ang pangit tignan. Kaya ginagawang maliit na tapos straight ko, hindi. Kaya na ginagawa yung pagkakalam ko na tama ko
Or probably they are using this for the trends.
May sulat, ganyan. Pero kung isipin, dapat hindi talaga ganyan.
Imbis na big letter yung T, ginawa kong T na maliit kasi para mas maganda tignan. Sanay na rin po akong sumulat ng capital letter lahat. Nakasanayan na po kasi namin yan tuwing masusulat.
It is actually the beauty that they look forward for that particular video.
Kami.
Kailangan i-inculcate natin sa kanila yung tamang pamamaraan, tamang spelling, tamang pagbigkas ng mga salita para ito ay magkaroon ng magandang kahulugan, no? Na hindi ito ay parang naging katawa-tawa lamang o nagiging isang palaisipan sa isang bata o sa isang tao.
At pangunahing responsibilidad ito ng magulang.
Hindi lang sa mga guro.
So well said. So to avoid the misinterpretation of the language or the misuse of the Filipino language, the parents should inculcate or teach their children about the Filipino language, the proper use, and on how are they going to use it on the public or in a proper conversation.
Hindi lang sa education department, pero kailangan din ng tulong ng pamilya, ang parents. So ma-encourage sila. So that will be a practice.
As well as the incorporation or with the help of the school and the teachers.
Because correct practice makes perfect. Eh kung wrong practice, yun ang masasanay yung mga bata.
Walang masama na sumunod sa uso, pero may limitasyon din ito. Ano ang silbi ng kakaibang spelling kung iilan lang ang nakakaunawa at nakakalimutan na ang tama?
Alright, at this point, we'll move forward to the international setting, which we have here. The documentary explores loss of languages around the globe. We'll start.
You are listening to a song sung in a language called Amur, a language spoken in northern Australia. There is virtually only one person left on our planet who speaks Amurdak. His name is Charlie Mangul.
A language nearly gone from an Aboriginal community on Australia's Goulburn Island.
When we talk about the loss of language, this tackles about the language nearly gone or the dying language.
The new PBS documentary Language Matters explores tongues around the globe at risk of being lost forever and what is lost with them.
We are being narrowed and homogenized by the loss of languages that we're not even aware of.
Predictions are dire that by the end of this century, more than half of the world's 6,000 languages will.
What do you think the reason why there is a loss of language was? Probably for me, that would be the lack of the people who uses that particular language in a particular community.
Be gone.
Every language has poetry, although it's very different from culture to culture. And as I began to learn about how these languages are disappearing, that kind of poetry is also going. The entire inner life of a people is disappearing when their language vanishes. Is that your language?
Bob Holman, in fact, came to this project as a poet, one long interested in oral traditions, including contemporary hip-hop. He and filmmaker David Grubin traveled from Australia to Wales to Hawaii, looking at languages on the brink and how some people.
It is somewhat surprising for the people to look into or to study about languages all over the world.
are fighting to bring them back. I talked with Holman recently at the Smithsonian Natural History Museum in Washington.
Each of these languages holds a little piece of information or a lot of information, can hold information about medicines and health, can hold information about the constellations in the sky, and that's an information that if you lose the language, you lose that connection with that place, with that way of thinking, with tens of thousands of years of that language's lineage.
One cause of the loss of languages, of course, lives around the globe increasingly interconnected through technology, the economy, and the dominance of a few languages, including...
So, according to this documentary, the loss of the language is the advent of the technology, or which comes from the globalization. There is the occurrence of the dominant languages, which affects millions of people all around the globe.
Online.
Everybody wants to join in on the conversation in the bully languages, but there's no reason why you...
bully languages?
Well, it seems these English and Mandarin and Spanish are gobbling up languages as people decide they need to have this in order to assimilate into a culture. But if you, instead of feeling awkward about speaking another language, if you were respected for who you are, and if that became part of the fabric, we talk about a multicultural fabric, but it seems that we have to have our multicultures in English. And it just sounds so much more delightful, offers so many more opportunities if you begin to hear the real deal.
At the same time,
it is the addition of more opportunities for the language to use.
According to anthropologist Joshua Bell of the Natural History Museum's Recovering Voices project, technology has opened up new ways to preserve languages.
A lot of people talk about how the internet, cell phones are reducing people's linguistics range, etc. Now the flip side of that is actually communities are increasingly using these tools to create spaces for themselves. So you'll see specific Cherokee language, for example, Facebook, apps for smartphones where actually communities are engaging in linguistic revitalization.
In the film, Holman shows how even languages seemingly vulnerable can continue to exist in the right conditions.
It's extraordinary. We were on Goulburn Island in Australia, an island that has 400 people and 10 different languages. How did this
400 people and 10 languages.
Exactly. And in Australia, there are languages that are quite stable with only 70 speakers or 500 speakers. You know, how does this happen? This happens because it's not a big deal for these people to learn these languages. It's what their parents did and their parents' parents did. And for them to learn the language of another people is a sign of respect. And that's exactly what the movement now, the language movement, is trying to say. To respect the mother tongues of each other is...
So, the amount of the speakers of a particular language does not actually matter with the distinction of a specific language in a specific area or specific community. As long as there are other people who are still speaking that particular language, then it could not be considered as a dying language or a nearly gone language.
Alive.
A large-scale example of this has unfolded in Wales. Holman visited an annual Welsh language festival to see how the small country, part of the United Kingdom, has managed to create equal footing for its native language alongside English, giving it a place in schools, in bars, even in hip-hop.
So, in order for a particular language to be enriched, the people or the speaker of a language should be able also to use it in a conversation or in art or another form of communication.
Learn enough Welsh to recite his own poem in a live competition.
Gyntaf o gynhannedd.
What's the key to a language surviving?
A language survives if you have the choice to learn it. If it's available for you to live your life in some way with your language as part of you. In Wales...
Well said. A language survives if you have the choice to learn. So for example, if you as a particular speaker of that particular language, then there would be no chance for your language to be gone or to die if only you would start to speak it, if only you would start to use it, and if only you would start to disseminate your learnings, the beauty of your language to other people. So that ends my video here, and thanks for watching.